So on equity, and some of this is also about inclusion and diversity, but I just wanted to share with you really quickly, again, the work that I've been doing has given me a bird's eye view, whether it's in focus groups, whether it's in comments to surveys, whether it's in speaking to employees, talking to diversity committees. These are just some of the things that I've heard from diverse employees. I've accepted too much for too long. I've accepted that this is the reality and the status quo is just not good enough anymore. No leader in this organization looks like me. So when I go up for promotion, am I going to get a fair shot? Or are people going to look at me as different or as an outsider? Or are they going to undervalue the what I bring to the table, like I mentioned earlier? This is another comment that a diverse employee made. I hear leaders say that diversity is our strength. What diversity? I'm not sure how my leaders are measuring diversity, but I look around and we don't have diversity. And so I'm wondering why, the leaders are saying these things. And then the last one that I've heard very, very often is, I'll know that my leaders are being genuine and authentic when they are mentioning diversity in the same sentence as profitability and financials. That's going to be when I actually know that they're taking it seriously. So the one action item that I have, it's technically two, but one of them I've already talked about. So the idea of equity, about radical fairness, what I want you to really focus on is not just actual fairness, but the perception of fairness. Do you have systems in place, processes in place that make people feel like they got a fair shot? Or are you doing your promotions simply because you pick somebody who you think is the best one, rather than opening it up and having a transparent process? And on the issue of distribution of rewards and punishments, is it even-handed, or are some employees more equal than others? So in terms of rewards, I've talked about one of them already, overvaluing certain skills, making sure that you are rewarding people for the success and that you are measuring what actually makes people successful in a job, not what has made you successful. But the other piece of advice in terms of equity that I want to talk about is in my wheelhouse. Obviously, drama-free is where I live, and having conducted in excess of 1,200 workplace investigations and written about it, this is to me an area that is so under-discussed when it comes to equity. And so the one piece of advice, the one action item that I'd like you all to take back is, let's look at the way that we are not only performing investigations. Do we have a culture of truth-telling where people are actually coming to us with their complaints, with their concerns, with psychological safety that we're actually going to do something about it? Are we then reviewing, investigating, and creating what I call a culture of curiosity, where I'm not just investigating to try to check a legal box, not to make it legally defensible, but to get to the truth, to be curious, to actually figure out what's going on. But then it's in the resolution part that I have the tip that I want to give you. And that is, am I being even-handed when I resolve something? Or are some employees more equal than others? Do I judge what punishment, what discipline, what action is going to take place based on the behavior or based on the person? And that's the one piece of advice that I think, from an equity perspective, too few organizations are doing. And that is implementing a system by which misconduct is dealt with in a way that is even-handed in terms of the consequences, and that creates now this impression, this perception, this feeling that it is even-handed and people have a fair shot in the workplace.